Hi there, it's Louise with you of Timeless Craft Mama, and today's scrapbook layout share is for Colour Blast. Now, today's page has got quite a mixed media vibe to it, so I'm going to show you a couple of different things to inspire you with these Colour Blast products. So we're going to use some heavy gesso, some sprays, some embossing powder, and some Mica powder as well. So the first thing I've done is gone through my stash and I've chosen a photo and some supplies. Now I'm really drawn to a lot of blues at the moment, so I apologise if you're sick of seeing this from me, but that's what I'm doing today. Now I chose this background piece of paper and it was quite busy, but I really liked it. I thought it had an interesting sort of appeal to it. It's a Heidi swap paper and I'm going to just cover up some of it with some white gesso just to give me a base to work with. Now also because I'm adding a lot of mixed media to this page, I have actually reinforced that paper because it's not a cardstock, it's a paper. So I went through my stash and I grabbed an ugly old piece of paper that I will never use and I actually adhered that onto that initial page that you saw. So to start with, I've chosen some chipboard pieces. So I've got some barbed wire and I've got this cherish piece which is forming the title, and I'm going to coat that with colour embossing powder in steel because it gives this really great silver sort of it's dark and yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but it gives a really good colour, and if you do it on raw chipboard you can sort of get this really rough edgy kind of look. So I did the same thing on the barbed wire pieces as well, but I didn't film that because I figure once you've seen one lot of embossing, that's enough. Now with my photo, I looked at it initially when I pulled it out of the stash and it had an area on the photo where there was nothing really going on. So instead of trimming that photo back, what I actually did was I tore part of the photo away, and I really like the effect it gives, especially when it's mounted on that torn piece of cardstock as well. So basically to create the cluster, I've just gone through my stash, picked out some papers, had a little play around, made some layering, nothing too technically difficult there. And just to add a little bit of interest as well, because I knew there was going to be a lot going on, I popped some tags into that cluster and a circle in the background as well, just to round it all out. Now that my background is dry, I've added 2 lots of triangle stamps, and with permanent ink because I'm going to be adding mediums over the top of them. So I want to make sure that none of that ink is going to run, so I've used a permanent ink. The first colour spray I'm going to use is the Shimmer in Envy, and what I've done is I've sprayed it on, hit it with some water, hit it with the heat gun, and then just with my finger I've just messy moved that around. Now the second spray, and the same process applies, is the Caribbean colour spray, and it's got a much deeper colour, so I only used a really small amount of that because I didn't want to overtake sort of that great shimmer that you get from the Envy. Now, of course, with a mixed media background, I want to add a little bit of colour through a stencil. Now, blue again, and I could have used Colour Blast paste, but I wanted to use the Mica powder so I could take some of the control over the depth of the colour. And you can see that I'm mixing it with gel medium and adding a little bit more of that Mica powder just to get the colour that I'm looking for. So you could do the exact same process with colour paste if you've got those in your stash, but for me I wanted to take a little bit of control over that colour. I could have left it really light blue, but I really wanted to get sort of close into the colour of what I had going already in my background. So background is dried, paste is dried, and what I want to show you is this really great gauze that I found. I tend to do things mostly in my life thinking about how I can apply them to scrapbooking. So on a recent trip to the discount store, I found this really great Halloween gauze, and I love how it looks in the background because it's kind of like cheesecloth, but it has a thicker sort of texture, and you know, it really is quite interesting. So moving into the final stages of this layout is mostly just embellishing. So popping on some 49 and Market flowers and some of the leaves as well. You can see I've put my barbed wire chipboard, and I'm going to use the hot glue gun just to attach my title over the top of that flower. Now, I'm sort of looking at the florals that I've got going on, and I'm not really good at flowers, so they're a little out of my comfort zone, but I see a lot of scrappers that use them and make these beautiful layouts with them, so I wanted to have a bit of a crack at something along those lines. The Colour Shimmer Spray in Envy is what I'm using to colour these again, so two different techniques. Spraying directly onto the flower, and of course just touching some of the edges with that wand that comes in the spray as well. Attaching those to the page. Now off camera I've also added a couple little stickers to the title and some black splatters, but you get the idea. So I hope you enjoyed that video from me and having some fun playing along with the Colour Blast products. Thank you so much for watching, and of course don't forget to subscribe.